YouTube. How we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo, and this is another episode of YoHoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today's Wednesday, November 12th, and we have a 12-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through my thoughts, let you know what sides I like, and stick around, because I have two highlighted plays for today. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we cashed our highlighted play of the day. We took the New York Knicks laying 10 points against the Memphis Grizzlies. Easy money to say the least. The Grizzlies actually did hoop in the second half. They won it by 10 points, but the Knicks built such a big lead early, it wasn't enough. Brunson went for 32, and the final score was 133 to 120 Knicks. 10-5-1 highlighted in November. Let's keep the momentum rolling. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup, we have the Chicago Bulls in Detroit taking on the Detroit Pistons. Pistons are minus 125 on the money line, and the total is 235. Looking at the injury reports, this is a tough spot for Detroit. Cade Cunningham is listed as questionable, while Oscar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Tobias Harris are all ruled out. Josh Giddey is still questionable for Chicago, but he rested on Monday, so I think he goes tonight. Obviously, I want to know if Cade's playing, but 4 out of your 5 starters on the IR is pretty concerning. Chicago's been hooping 8-2 against the spread on the season. I can't fade them with the banged up Pistons. I'm taking the Bulls plus the 2 points as my first selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Milwaukee Bucks in Charlotte taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Bucks are minus 200 on the money line, and the total is 232.5. Looking at the injury reports, LaMelo Ball is still ruled out, while Giannis is listed as questionable. Milwaukee's been laying a lot of these short lines, and it's worked out taking them so far, but the Bucks aren't stupid. Any day now, Giannis is ruled out, and the Bucks end up losing it outright. I don't want to try and play the injury news in this one, so probably a game I'll stay away from. But even if Giannis plays, I think Charlotte can compete. They're at home, and we've seen the Bucks role players are ass. I'll lean to the Hornets plus the 5.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Orlando Magic in New York taking on the New York Knicks. Knicks are minus 185 on the money line, and the total is 227.5. The Knicks come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. We cashed at them last night as our highlighted play of the day, but even though it was a blowout, I will mention a lot of their stars played extended minutes. That's nothing new for these guys, though. It's tough to know which Orlando team we're going to get. Yeah, they looked impressive in that last game against Portland, but outside of that, they looked like one of the bottom tier teams in the league this season. This is a favorable spot with the rest advantage, but the Magic typically play their best ball at home. It's a tall order, but I think the Knicks get it done. I'm taking the Knicks laying the 4.5 points as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers in Miami taking on the Miami Heat. Heat are minus 210 on the money line, and the total is 239. We saw this exact same matchup on Monday, and Miami won that game 140 to 138 in overtime. We were on them in that game as 7-point underdogs. Now Cleveland comes into this one significantly banged up. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Tyson are all ruled out. Miami will be without Bam, but he didn't play on Monday when they beat them at full strength. Donovan Mitchell and Mobley combined for 49 points in that game. Take them out of the lineup, they're cooked. Miami's still undefeated at home 5-0. I say we ride the hot hand. I'm taking the Heat laying the 5.5 points as my first highlighted selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Memphis Grizzlies in Boston taking on the Boston Celtics. Celtics are minus 260 on the money line, and the total is 230.5. Y'all know I've been fading the Grizzlies a lot, and it's been working out, but this is a tricky spot tonight. They're on the second leg of a back-to-back with travel, and we know they've been playing horrible, yet somehow they're only 6-point underdogs. Either Vegas is just giving away free money, or Memphis gets a surprise win tonight. Man for man, they actually match up really well with Boston. This year, the Celtics are really lacking in their front court, so Triple J should be able to dominate on the glass and in the paint. Take a look at his points prop over 16.5. Ja has been diming even though he hasn't been scoring the ball. Something tells me they compete tonight and lose this one by 4 points. Definitely not rushing to the window with it, but I'll lean to the Grizzlies plus the 6.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Golden State Warriors in San Antonio taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs are minus 170 on the money line, and the total is 232. The Warriors come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Oklahoma City to San Antonio. They got their asses kicked last night by the Thunder, but Steve Kerr did pull the plug early, and that makes me think he was looking ahead to this game. I swear everyone's so quick to pass the torch to the Spurs. Outside of Wemby and maybe De'Aaron Fox once he gets reintegrated into the lineup, the rest of this Spurs team is mid. Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson. These guys are solid pieces, but they aren't difference makers that get you over the hump against the better teams in the league. I trust guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield a lot more to win me a close game. Steph and Jimmy are also both playing. Say less. I'm taking the Warriors plus the 4 points as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Portland Trailblazers in New Orleans taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Blazers are minus 340 on the money line, and the total is 229.5. The Pelicans are in bad shape. Zion and Jordan Poole are both rolled out. They're filled in their B team at this point. 2-8 on the season. Besides the Wizards, this might be the worst team in the league. The Blazers come into this one at full strength. I can see them easily getting the dominant win. Love Jrue Holiday at the point, and similar to what I said about the Jazz yesterday, the rest of their team are high draft picks that keep them competitive on any given night. Pretty soon, I think we're going to start looking at the Blazers like we look at the Pistons, a potential playoff team coming into their own. I'm taking the Blazers laying the 8 points as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Washington Wizards in Houston taking on the Houston Rockets. Rockets are minus 1,600 on the money line, and the total is 234.5. Obviously, Houston should win this game. They come into it at full strength, but I don't know if I want to lay 17 points. The Wizards are 2-9 against the spread this season, and like I always say, the line makers aren't stupid. Houston is dominant at home, and I've seen them win by 30 in this spot many times, but man for man, I don't know if their current roster is 17 points better. Alex Sarr's playing well. McCollum just dropped 40. I can really see them losing it by 16. Probably not a game I'm betting on, but I'd lean to the Wizards plus the 17 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Phoenix Suns in Dallas taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Suns are minus 115 on the money line, and the total is 229.5. There's some injury manipulation going on here. Anthony Davis and Derek Lively are both listed as questionable. AD playing does make a huge difference, but I don't think their front court is the problem. The issue is the lack of a true point guard and the lack of shooters on the perimeter. I like how Phoenix is playing, dominant wins in their last 3 straight, and they definitely have the shooters to win this game. I'm taking the Suns on the money line as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Los Angeles Lakers in Oklahoma City taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder are minus 275 on the money line, and the total is 232. OKC comes into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. They beat up the Warriors last night, 24-point win, but SGA did end up playing 28 minutes. When I think of the matchup between Luka and SGA, I think back to the 2024 semi-conference finals. I can confidently say OKC had the better team overall, but Luka was able to carry those Mavs to a 4-2 series win. This is one of the best rivalries in the league, and while I do think the Thunder should win this game, I don't think it's by significant margin. What I usually see by the Lakers in this spot is they'll go down by 10 points early, then at some point in the second quarter, ramp up and bring it closer to a tie game by halftime. I recommend betting on them live, getting something like 9.5 points in your back pocket, but by the end of the game, LA covers this line. I'm taking the Lakers plus the 7 points as my second highlighted selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Atlanta Hawks in Sacramento taking on the Sacramento Kings. Hawks are minus 165 on the money line, and the total is 233.5. The Kings come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. This is probably my least favorite game on the board, just because I don't know what I'm going to get from Atlanta. Trae Young out, they win 3 out of their last 4 against the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Magic. At first, I was surprised, but when you think about it, 70% of their team are top 5 picks from the last few years. They could just be coming into their own, finally showing some chemistry. The Kings are an older team, so I worry about the back-to-back. I think Atlanta might have their number. I'm taking the Hawks laying the 4 points as my next selection of the evening. In our last and final matchup, we had the Denver Nuggets in LA taking on the LA Clippers. Nuggets are minus 160 on the money line, and the total is 224.5. Denver comes into this one on the second leg of a back to back. Not much travel, but they fly from Sacramento to LA. Got the dominant win last night against the Kings, but all of their stars did play over 30 minutes. Hate what I've been seeing from the Clippers at home. They've dropped their last 4 straight, and Kawhi Leonard is still ruled out tonight. This line makes me feel like it's a trap. Why would they give us such generous odds with Denver? But at the same time, there's no way I'm crossing my fingers hoping the Clippers keep it within a bucket. I'm taking the Nuggets laying the 3.5 points as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. 10, 5, and 1 highlighted in November. Let's go get number 12 tonight. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo. And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.